Good Thursday morning, everyone. This is Mitch. Hope you guys are hanging in there this morning. It's been a rocky night across portions of southern sections of Alabama, the panhandle of Florida, places like that. Ongoing tornado warnings all throughout the night. I know I set my alarm clock for about midnight last night, woke up, and it was very active. So hope you guys are hanging in there. It's going to be interesting to see as the sun comes up how much damage has been done. It did look like multiple tornadoes touched down in several different locations across central, southern Alabama, the panhandle of Florida. So we're going to see what the damage looks like as we're waking up. Hopefully there's no deaths reported, but we're going to see what's going on really as we get into the next couple hours. But as of right now, storms are still moving through areas of southern Georgia, even Alabama, panhandle of Florida. So really in this morning's video, we're going to talk about what's going to be going on this morning, what's going to be going on throughout the day, because the slight risk has actually been expanded, and it's covering a good chunk of the eastern U.S. It really is the eastern coastline. So I want to talk about that, talk about what we can expect. If you guys have not subscribed, definitely hit the subscribe button for me. Like the video if you like it. Really excited about the future, guys. So definitely tag along here. I make 2 videos a day. I keep y'all as updated as possible. So let's get going here. I want to talk about there is a slight risk, pretty large slight risk. It extends all the way from Tallahassee, Florida, which you guys will be experiencing some nasty weather here in the next couple hours, if not shorter, all the way up to almost Rochester, New York. This includes New York City, the big cities of Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Richmond, Virginia, Charlotte, Raleigh, Columbia, South Carolina, Savannah, Georgia. Tornado risk is the highest down here, and that's really here in the next several hours. But there is still a chance, a 2% risk, 25 miles in any given location, all the way up through Pennsylvania, eastern areas of Pennsylvania. Damaging winds will probably be the biggest threat with all this, so we'll see what happens here. But let's look at what's going on right now on the radar. You still have some storms kind of moving through very, they're pretty much moving out of Alabama now, but they're starting to move through southern sections of Georgia. This is the radar out of Tallahassee, Florida. Tornado warning right now as of 7:03 a.m. Eastern Time, just southeast of Panama City, Florida. So you got to watch out because waterspouts can move on shore here around Mexico Beach here in the coming next 30-45 minutes. You never know, and then they obviously turn into tornadoes as they get into land. So watch out, Tallahassee. Watch out all these areas this morning. This will be an ongoing tornado risk, tornado threat for sure. And even the areas that don't get tornadoes with this system, they're going to probably experience heavy rain and damaging winds. So it's been an active night. Remember I talked about the last couple of days about this area back here being a threat overnight. Well, it certainly was, not to toot my own horn, but it definitely was a threat. Multiple, let's get the cursor up here, multiple tornadoes reported all throughout this area right into here. Just brief touchdowns. Nothing, I'm not talking about everybody in this area or anything saw a tornado, but there was a lot of areas just north of Mobile, Alabama. They got there was actually 2 tornadoes looked like within 15 miles of each other at one point overnight last night. Pretty crazy stuff. So let's talk about what's going on. And we're not going to hold you up too long. We'll look at the latest HRRR model. We'll start off from my folks here in Georgia and South Carolina, the Panhandle of Florida, then we'll continue to move a little bit further northeast. Going through the coming hours, as we know, this is about right now, give or take. This is probably about an hour of what's going on right at this moment, 7 a.m. These storms will continue to move through. Up here in South Carolina, areas of eastern Georgia, there will be a tornado threat, especially down here, the Panhandle of Florida, the Big Bend of Florida, especially down here. You still have the dynamics, the thermodynamics in place for a tornado threat, high in moisture content, a little bit of cape right down here. So you're going to have the dynamics down here that will continue a tornado threat throughout the morning hours, but it will begin to diminish obviously as most of the energy pulls more east. But up here in the Carolinas, there will be a tornado threat, not as high, damaging wind threats a little bit higher, but there certainly will still be a threat for some nasty storms going forward here. And, you really watch out as you get about midday, when you get a little bit of daytime heating down here in these areas, the storms will try to re-strengthen. You got to watch down here in southeast Georgia, damaging winds. You start to lose the kinematics in place to really spin these updrafts, but still the chance for tornadic storms down here in southeast Georgia as you're getting into about midday. If not, obviously rotating storms, you're going to have a chance for damaging winds. So you keep going this forward here, and you're starting to get into later in the afternoon hours. You're starting to watch the coastal areas of South Carolina for some afternoon showers and storms for sure. And then, you know, pretty much after that, maybe some showers start to pop up again, but after that, we're pretty much done. So let's go on and shift up to around North Carolina into Virginia. Same kind of situation, my folks up in North Carolina. You know, let's go on and make sure we get a full run of the HRRR model. Here we go. So going forward here, we'll look and see what's going on. Same kind of deal. A lot of heavy rain this morning through your mid-morning all the way through lunchtime. But, you know, I really don't think the big severe weather threat's going to be very high in North Carolina. I think the biggest threat will be damaging winds, and that's really going to be, watch out for the eastern half of North Carolina, southeast Virginia, and watch these little cells right here. The low-level jet is really ramped up in this area, so winds are going to mix to the surface. It's going to be windy regardless today ahead of this line. But watch out these little cells that start to form about 3-4 p.m. this afternoon. And even watch this one, you know, just east of Raleigh. Watch out all these little storms, these little pop-up storms. After the main energy moves through, the atmosphere is still there. And it is able to recover. Some sun starts to pop out. Some warming still occurs before the cold front completely ushers through. Therefore, you still have some showers and storms that you have to watch out for. Maybe a quick spin up, but you really don't have the thermodynamics way up here for it to be a substantial tornado threat. And that's why there's only that 2% risk way up here. But watch out. Watch out a little bit later this afternoon and evening for some damaging wind threats for sure. And we keep going up here. Let's go a little further here. I don't want to hold you guys up long, me trying to meander through all the regions here. But there's also a threat for severe storms a little bit further up in the mid-Atlantic. You back this up here, and you're going through in time, you know, morning hours. You're getting into about midday. A lot of heavy rain, some showers and storms for Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, up to New York City. You get the heavy rain first, and then you watch out as the atmosphere tries to recover. Watch out eastern PA, Maryland, Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C. area, the Delmarva area. Well, look at these big old storms trying to form before the more stable air moves through just ahead of the cold front. These can be some bangers of some storms. There's a millennium term for you guys, but these could be some big-time storms for sure that could impact some higher populated areas. As far as a tornado threat, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a quick tornado warning or two in this region, but the biggest threat is going to be damaging winds with these storms, and they could really fire up and get going. And they'll have a chance to kind of take advantage of their own environment, get a little bit discreet. But you just got to watch. Anybody New Jersey, New York, even up into areas of interior New York State, definitely a chance for severe storms today. Everybody in this area, just watch out. You could get nothing. You could just get the heavy rain earlier in the day. But watch out later in the afternoon, evening, some showers and storms, potentially strong to severe, could really pop up and get going here. But regardless, you know, a good little bit of rain. Everybody needs the rain, especially the Smokies, the western slopes of the mountains, you know, just around Pigeon Forge area, Gatlinburg, you know, just north of there had a wildfire all day yesterday. And hopefully they're going to get some good rain today, and it can completely contain that fire. But there's already been some homes destroyed. It's kind of a story in the weather world that's being overshadowed a little bit by the severe weather and tornado threat. But it really has been doing some damage up there. A lot of webcams up there in that area show a lot of smoke. So hopefully you guys get some good rains up there in the mountains and Smokies and the southern Appalachian Mountains. But everywhere else, you know, a nice little bit of rain today. I think everybody in there on the eastern U.S. could at least see a 1/4 inch of rain on average, but definitely areas could see a lot more. This is going to wash a lot of the pollen away. This is going to help with your allergies, I think. But of course, the next day, all the surfaces will be recoated again. You know how it goes here in the South, and really not just the South, but everywhere. And when you start to get into April, as we're in our last day of March and starting to get into the good old month of April here. But let's get going here. Well, last thing we'll talk about is the wind gust ahead of these lines of storms. This is going to be very breezy. The eastern U.S. is going to be, 30, 40 mile per hour wind gusts from Georgia all the way up to South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, PA, New York State, Ohio, West Virginia, everybody. It's going to be very gusty ahead of this cold front. Winds will be screaming out the south in general. Behind it, winds start to settle back down, but just like after every cold front that pushes through, the winds still are gusty even after the next day after a cold front really moves through, and then it's going to be a cooler weekend on tap. But that's all I got, guys. The next topic After this, we'll probably start to focus in on another severe weather threat that looks to potentially, not an outbreak as of now, but potentially impact areas of the South again. So that'll probably be our next big topic that we'll latch onto. But God bless everybody. I hope you guys are staying safe, and have a great and blessed Thursday.